Welcome to Overnight Wisdom, a show where we sit with changemakers, artists, business leaders, and thinkers. Each conversation is an invitation to slow down, to go deeper, and unearth the quiet insights that shape who we are. If you're seeking honest reflections, unexpected wisdom, and a deeper understanding of what it takes to not merely survive, but to thrive, you're in the right place. Today's guests are twin brothers, Sam and Emmanuel, better known as TwinsDntBeg. From the streets of Accra to the corridors of power, they picked up a camera and began capturing more than just images. They captured possibility. In this episode, we talk about the early rejections they faced and how they turned that pain into fuel. We explore their views on politics, leadership, and the responsibility that comes with telling powerful stories. This is a conversation about grit, vision, belief, and staying rooted no matter how high you rise. Let's get into it. I'm really happy to have you here, Sam and Manuel. How are you doing today?
We're doing amazing in myself.
Doing well, thank you. Thanks for spending your Sunday afternoon with me. I'm going to jump right into things. I want to ask you about your name. So your name is Twins Don't Beg. And from what I've seen, from what I've read, it's somewhat of a declaration, not just a brand. So I do want to ask you in your own words, what does it mean to you now, years into your journey? And what did you both have to overcome before you could actually say that with conviction?
Okay, so I can confidently say that name was carved somewhere in 2008, just a year after high school, and we realized that we wanted to be great in future, and we loved music. We wanted to be global superstars like P Square. The dream was to be entertainers, and we didn't really know we were going to be photographers. So after high school, we moved to our big sister's place in Tema, which is another you know part of Greater Accra, and that was actually the hub of music in Ghana. The creativity of Afrobeat and high life music and all the deep new genres of music. So we're part of that culture, and we're also lucky to be around superstars you see now, from Sarkodie to all these big artists. We happen to be around them 10, 15 years ago. We wanted to be art musicians so bad. So right after senior high school, we decided to step into the studio as recording artists, and we recorded a few demos, and that time you put it on the CDs. So we did that, and we took it to a few producers, and one producer actually listened to our song, and he told us that we didn't have any talent, and we think that if
Gosh, they're awful.
yeah, we think that if we sing in a bathroom, we think we have talent and you are coming to disturb him. And he threw a CD at us. And that really was one of the moments we never forget. And when we got back home that evening, we were like, you know what? And we know we're going to be great in future, but we don't know how we're going to be great. So we're looking for names to names that would represent us as artists, and we're like, you know what, we're twins and we hate begging, so why don't we call ourselves the twins who don't beg? And that name has motivated us and been with us throughout our journey till now. So I think that name should be how many years old, like 70 years. Damn, like from 2008 to 2025. 2008 to 2025. We need to check. Yeah, I need to check that old that name. The name is, so that is how the name.
So it's 17.
17. Wow.
Damn. Yeah.
Wow. So that is how the name came about. We carved it out of pain and rejection and hurts that we felt from people actually recognizing that we're going to be great in future, and we needed something that will prove to them that, hey, we're going to make it. And that name really motivated us to work hard. Imagine telling anybody that you're never going to beg. That really pushed us to work extra hard, do so many hours without stopping.
I love that for y'all, and it's I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. Have you seen that person who said that thing to you since?
Um,
This producer person.
yeah, frankly, I don't know where he is right now. I remember where we went to the studio to go and give our demo to him, but I've even forgotten how he looked like. But I think and I believe wherever he is right now, I'm sure he might have seen us one day or the other, thriving in our photography. So we don't remember him. We've forgotten how he looks like. And he was the best thing that ever happened to us. Rejection doesn't mean that's the end of, everything. Sometimes rejection actually points you to the right direction.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think, when I reflect on this, I think sure it's a very awful thing to say to people. But I find that as well, sometimes having those detractors are the things that, push us, to, okay, watch me. If you think I can't do something, watch me do it. So I'm really glad that you did not let that voice, like neither of you let that voice come in the way of your glory. And it's, I mean, of course, yeah, now you're doing impactful work, and even just beyond perhaps what you set out to do, wanting to do music. And then what was the switch from music to photography? Like, how did that come about?
I think for us, one interesting thing about our brand is that we're very versatile. And when I talk about versatility, we've actually gone through a whole lot of different industries: movies, music, event organizing, and fashion, um just name it, anything that involves in the creative arts. We also became part of the production crew. One way that we also learn very fast is just by observing whatever is going on and also asking the right questions. So we got our first camera in 2014. That was in 2014, and that is when we started taking pictures. And when we had the first camera, we were like, right now we have the camera, so what's next? Took pictures, and it was so bad to the point that we're like, how do these photographers that we look we admire their photography, how do they take pictures like that? So how do we do it? We started going to photographers, which they reluctantly help us, educate us on how to take amazing pictures. And we had one of the best teachers, which was YouTube. I feel a lot of people underestimate the power of YouTube. So we went on there, key in whatever we want to learn, and he gave us simple, basic instructions. Because there's nothing new under the sun, we're able to learn how to take certain kind of pictures and even edits. And time goes as time was going on, we started getting better at whatever we learned on YouTube.
Amazing, amazing story. Thanks for sharing. I love when you said nothing new on that is sun. That took me back to Nigeria. Like it was one of those things I hear, and um, I think it also epitomizes your willingness and your ability to learn. I think it's quite remarkable all you have done, all the different spaces, and for the most part, you are self-taught with the help of YouTube and some of the other photographers who provided you with some education. So I want to I'm reflecting on this in terms of you've been in fashion, music, so crossing lines across, I guess, arts and culture to some sense. Why did you hone in on photography? Why was that the choice for the two of you? And was there ever a point where Sam is like, no, I'm not sure, and Emmanuel is like, yeah, maybe, maybe not? Like, how did you hone in on this? Why this?
Well, I mean, I can confidently say right from childhood, we've always shared the same interests. We've done the same
Mm.
thing. Our parents would say, anytime we are rebelling against them, we do it like it's both of us. So it's difficult for them to punish both of us, you know? So we've been doing the same thing. We have always shared the same interests. We've been able to equally do the same things at the same time. So that helped. And we started actually capturing the early days of music festivals, like the music festivals, like um, the music awards in Ghana, and all these top events in Ghana. And every time after the event, our images went viral. We developed strategies on how we're going to market our images, and that also really helped. And one thing about us that we learn every day, we keep on updating our skills and our knowledge in the field of photography, and that always keeps on pushing us to the next level. So that is what built our huge social media presence online. And once this started working, we started replicating this in other African countries. I remember we saved some money and we invested, and we went to Uganda in 2018, and that exposed us to so many artists from Uganda. That is where we met Eddie Kenzo and all these big, artists from East Africa, and we connected to, Kenya, we went to Rwanda, we went to South Africa, Nigeria, Zimbabwe, Morocco. We started planting our seedlings in every country, and that exposed us to the African continent beyond Ghana.
Oh, I love that. And I have to say, I also really like just how, and I mean this wholeheartedly, how humble you both are. And at the same time, I also really just love that agency that you have. You know, when you talk about, we started this work in Ghana, and then we took ourselves to Uganda and Rwanda and Nigeria, and then Morocco, and then North America, and then Europe. I think it's really cool. And it's so important that even for myself, and I think for others listening, that they understand the agency we have to create for ourselves, to go to places that we probably will not have not previously imagined, and just to believe that we can.
Yeah.
So I really love that. Just listening to you talk, I'm like, oh, I really like that strong sense of self that you've done this, you've put in the work, you've worked your butt off, but you did this with favor, with grace, but both of you did this work. So super proud of you all and really great work for what you've done so far.
Thank you.
When we spoke a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the African gaze because I think it was Sam I was speaking to, and Sam, you had said, "Why are you doing this podcast?" Right? And I told you some of the reasons why, and I think we connected, on that African gaze in particular. And when it comes to photography, as somebody who's lived a significant part of her life in the West, but also very much ingrained and rooted in African continent, I do see that much of Africa has been photographed through someone else's lens, usually a white lens, usually a Western lens. And they generally tell one, two, maximum three stories, and none of them, dignifies for the most part the African people or the African continent. So I want to ask you, when you photograph Ghanaian leaders or public figures, as you talked about, what are you really trying to restore or to reclaim in how power and identity are seen?
We've captured so many African leaders, and we've seen so many African legends. And what an honor to use our story, our lens to tell the African dream. That is why we even named our company the Swag of Africa. And we had to use our camera to tell the story. We've been trying to project the continent, you know, in a very beautiful way. We are telling our own story. We are carving our own narrative. We are capturing Africa in real life and telling Africa as what it is. Africa is a very beautiful continent. Our colors are vibrant. Our food is beautiful. Our food is amazing. Our people are welcoming. Our women are beautiful. Our men are strong and confident, not like how the Western people, perceive us to be. And that is the story, the kind of story that we are telling every day. Anytime you post an image, it is to project Africa to the world. We not trying to convince the Western people. We're just sharing our culture to the rest of the world. So in capturing our leaders, we always say our leaders in Africa, the reason why we've not developed is sometimes our leaders, but then we also have some leaders that are working so hard to change the narrative. And that is why during our last election, when we were working with the former vice president of Ghana who just lost an election, we told the world that we're going to win the election with photography. And that story went so viral. And now it's came back to bet us because we told the story of that personality, how much he loved the country and how much he wanted to change the narrative of Ghana. And since it didn't go in his way, people are using the statements that we made against us, and they are laughing at us. But hey, it's part of the cross we need to carry. So we work hard for him to become the next president of the Republic of Ghana. So we have to still keep on telling his story before he becomes the president. So that is our next major achievement we are looking forward to achieve with photography.
Oh, I love that. I love that. If I ever run for office anywhere, I will come find you. So you can tell that story with me and we see how we do.
I remember we did work with one lady, Magdala Cooper, who was running for president in Liberia. We took her images, and that was very impactful. But now she's not the president of Liberia, but she's the holding a very huge position in government in Liberia. So that is the kind of story we are telling with our African leaders, and also all the personalities, from the musicians to the creatives to every legend that we've worked with.
So I think for the people who are coming back to say, hey, you said something and it didn't happen, I think the lesson, at least what I'm reflecting on now, the lesson there is also these people are still out there doing something. The fact that somebody does not become the president now doesn't mean it will not happen in the future. But nonetheless, it's at least they're out there doing something, trying to create something better. And I think there's also something quite remarkable about faith. Believing doesn't necessarily mean that it always has to happen what you want to see. But I think the fact that you were both willing to say, this is what I would want, this is what I want to bring into the world, this is what I want to manifest into the world, I think that's super brave. So, I mean, if anyone is listening who made fun of you, they should probably rethink it and like reframe.
Making the fun, when we make him the president, we can have enough to say and jubilate about. And the more fun they make about us, the more we work harder.
Yeah. Use it as fuel, right? It's kind of like the fuel and the petrol that gets you going.
Yeah, all the time.
I love that. I think the more I talk to people, what Africans doing great things in like rewriting the narrative, reframing the stories, I think it takes all of us to collectively do that in our own little ways. Okay, so I do want to ask you because I mean, you're brothers, you're twins, you collaborate and you create this process together. And you're two individuals, but you create as one. So I do want to ask, as identical twins and creative partners, how do you balance your individuality and your unity? And what do each of you bring that the other doesn't?
Say is our success is as a result of the power of collaboration. It's the power of two. And that is why I always advise anybody who comes to me that no single man can make it alone. You can never make it alone. Like, I've not seen any millionaire who said, I did it all by myself. No, I mean, people are lucky to have one time success, but people who really build something that became a generational legacy had always done that with a team. So we believe in working together, and we are also very different, even in appearance and all that. But one thing that has made us stick together is we know the end goal, and we always put our individual differences aside and always work together to achieve that. We must sometimes disagree on certain kind of things, but that doesn't stop us from agreeing at a common point and moving past our individual and differences and making it happen. And that is what we've been doing, and that is how we've been able to still stick together for all this time doing this together. So the power of two, the power of collaboration.
So in terms of, thanks for sharing that. I think, I think you make such an important point about collaboration and building anything. It's anyone can come up with an idea. It's the people behind it that bring it to life. And no one is an island, right? We always need people to build, to create. And if we have a sibling, even better. If we have a twin, I guess that's even just even more, yeah? So, but I do wanna see, like, is there something that you each bring that is different? Say, I reflect on some of my siblings, where one person is maybe calmer or more strategic, another person can be more pragmatic and more, like, on the ball.
Yeah, when it comes to me and my brother, I am more out there. I'm more out there chasing. Like, when you see both of us, I'll be the first to walk up to you and have a conversation with you. My brother is also a bit laid back, but he also handles all our documentations. I'm the way I'll miss our passport. He knows how to organize that stuff, and I also know how to organize other stuff that we're also working on, like putting the events and everything together. And he's more on the documentation side and the paperwork. And so we on the other side, we also have things that we are all comfortably great at. With time, we've managed to know what each other, each role each other is playing, and that has made it easy.
I love that. So essentially, he's the organized one in so many ways, making sure you get where you need to get.
In charge of the equipment, I make sure the equipment are not missing, the batteries are charged, the files are copied,
Yeah, okay.
organized. I'm chasing
Okay.
production money and all that, and bookkeeping.
Yeah, yeah. That's a really good compliment, though. It's nice that you both have that great balance and you support each other where you need to, and you kind of know what you're strong at, and you pursue that. That's really nice to hear. I was just thinking, every now and then I say to myself, oh, it would be nice just to have another Chisom. Like, I could use one more. And I'm just like, this is the perfect scenario, isn't it? Like, you both have each other, and this is great. I do want to ask about themes around purpose and power, and also the public life, because you do have a very public facing profession, and you have photographed political and cultural power. I know you photograph like presidents and mega superstars like Jamie Foxx. But through your lens, what does power actually feel like, and how do you make space for vulnerability even in your most commanding portraits?
Hmm. Power. I think um one thing that you always notice about us is how down to earth and humble that we are, no matter where we find ourselves in the world. And I think the only answer to that is that we've seen the rise and fall of a lot of people So we've kind of like taking cue on how to even act, especially like on our daily lives, no matter where we find ourselves. And basically we've applied that in our lives. And I think like it radiates into every part of the industry that we find ourselves. So even if we're taking pictures of the president, you see me in town, or you might bump into us at the mall and you mention our name, and I'm definitely, or we're definitely turning around to say hi. Nice to meet you. Somebody might probably see you and just be like, I love your work so much. You just have to turn around and just be like, thank you so much. And I'll say hi, have a conversation. Have a conversation. We've kind of like placed a lot of strategies in our lives that make us always get in touch with the core people that nobody would even think of, especially when it gets to the heights that we've been able to attain. We go to senior high schools to have conversation with the younger generation. We go to the universities to have conversations with these amazing upcoming generation. And what that also tends to bring to us is that it points direction to how people see us. It tends to point to us that what do people also expect from us. So basically, when we're able to gather all these kind of information, it kind of like determines who we are right now, or what we always have to do, especially how far we've been able to go with our photography. And also one thing I can add is that we've seen power, we've tasted power, we know how easily you can lose power at any time. Power can just slip out of your hands and you can become one of the most miserable person on earth. So this actually, humbles us. And we also know where we're coming from. We've come very far, and where we came from was very humble, and that has never changed. Wherever we've been or whatever we've done has never really changed who we really are. So we've seen power, we've tasted power. Power is one of the most beautiful things to experience, but we always know how to maintain very good relationship with people. Don't burn bridges. Don't use your power to intimidate other people. Always make sure that you use that power to build, to invest in people, invest in and give people opportunities. We've invested in so many people, and there are so many people that we can also point hands and just tell them that these are the people that came to study from us, came to learn from us. We hosted them in our house. We had about like almost five people staying with us. And students, they were students from um, University of Education Winneba, which is also in Central Region. And some of them were also not based in Accra. And we had them in our house, in our homes, let them be part of our crew. And right now, I can point and be proud that we've been able to produce very confident cinematographers and videographers and photographers, and they are all doing amazing wherever they find themselves right now. So yeah, we've done a lot, and I don't think we're going to stop. We're just going to be who we are until God takes us to the next level that He wants us to go. But we're just always going to be for the people, with the people, by the people.
Absolutely. I really love just what you say about the importance of being humble and humility, no matter where you are. I think that remembering where you come from, but also just being kind to people, taking that time to acknowledge somebody who said hello, or never thinking you're too cool for school, so to say. And I really love that, because that is a really great way to remain grounded in who you are, in your values, in the culture, in the home, in kind of how you were raised. So that's really lovely to hear. On kind of the images that you take, is there something you haven't done that you still want to do? Be it, is it a personal portrait, a historical, maybe even a imagined one that you haven't captured yet and you would like to capture?
Um, I believe there is a lot for us to achieve as photographers, and maybe there are goals that we've been able to set for ourselves that we've not been able to achieve. As my brother said early on, what we are currently working on so much with our strength, our brand, our energies, to make sure that His Excellency Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia becomes the next president, and their wife, Samira Bawumia, becomes the next first lady of Ghana. Why are we working so hard? Because we believe in his ideologies, we believe in his visions. We believe in his policies that he's been able to set, and we've listened to a lot of lectures from him. So one of the criticisms that we receive from a lot of people is that why don't we concentrate on our photography and our brand, and why are we trying to dilute it, or why are we trying to spoil it with politics? And I think I want to emphatically say on this platform that if you are a young person and you develop an interest in politics, there's nothing absolutely wrong with it. And there's nothing wrong to also not be interested in whatever happens in your country. And somebody might also just tell you that you guys are photographers. Why are you contributing something to politics? And that's the reason why my brother and I are very interested in politics. We are in politics because we want to use politics to influence change. We want to also contribute whatever our knowledge is to make changes that would also help improve the lives of the people. And since knowledge is not in only one man's head, we can also be able to contribute our quota, especially in the creative art industry that we find ourselves. What can we also contribute into telling His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia that? So if we're even advising, we can also use our understanding and also our influence to make sure that we shape policies. And that's one reason why we are very, very interested in politics right now. And what can we also do to contribute to that change? We want to use our photography to tell the story of how politicians can be trusted, how politicians also want to use their policies to also affect change. And we do that by taking the right pictures and also putting in the right story, right caption, and posting it on social media. Since right now everybody is on social media, so and that's the reason why right now we are very, very passionate about politics, and we also support the candidacy of His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
Hmm. Thank you for sharing. There's a lot there I want to unpack. So, a few things coming up for me first is, oftentimes, the people I know, sometimes now the people I talk to, there's often this idea that people can only be one thing. So when you say people are saying to you, you're photographers, how about you stay in your lane? Why go into politics or whatever else? I think people need to realize that we are more than one thing and we can have more than one, interest, and multiple realities can coexist beautifully. I'm a person who I do a lot of different things. And all those different things are different versions of myself that I'm absolutely passionate about. And I think if each one of us are able to actually look inside and say, okay, I have so many interests, and the ones that are burning most currently in this season of my life, I want to pursue. And I think that is important that we allow other people the space and the grace to do the same. I think there's something limiting about telling people to stay in their lanes. It silences whatever voice they have. And I'm glad that y'all have not listened to those voices that tell you don't pursue something else. So since you've talked about Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, that's what I heard a couple of times now. You talked about his ideologies and you talked about his visions. Can you share one to two ideologies or vision that makes you believe that this is the person to lead Ghana into the next phase?
In Ghana, we have somehow an advanced digitized economy than most parts of Africa due to his visions. Like I think Ghana is one of the first African countries to have mobile money intraportability, where you can send money across every network. We also have the zip line And this zip line is a drone delivery system set up by the former vice president. No matter where you are in Ghana, if let's say you have a snake bite and a call is placed to an emergency number, then you're taken to the hospital and they don't have a snake venom, they can call the zipline service in a matter of minutes. A drone can deliver the anti-venom to whatever hospital. And Ghana is one of the first African countries to have that kind of system set up here. Imagine someone is a pregnant woman is giving birth and lost so much blood and they don't have any blood in one of the most rural communities in Ghana. The drone can deliver blood within minutes. We have something called the Ghana card. Since we got independence till now, we didn't have any form of identification as Ghanaians, and he was the one who was able to champion that, and that has significantly increased the security and the stability of identifying people. And now you can get your fingerprints taken just because we had a visionary vice president who was able to such initiatives into the system. And we always sometimes wonder, why is Ghana one of the safest countries in Africa? It's because of these security measures that has been put in place. CCTVs all over Ghana, traffic lights. We have an electronic gate at the airports. We have, a very digitized economy. You basically have all your money on your phone, mobile money, and all this was enhanced and improved when he became the vice president. And he chaired also the economic committee of the country, and he's done amazing and as a vice president. And I believe being a vice president was limiting how impactful he was, and being a president for himself, he'll be able to do much more for Ghana. And some of his initiatives and policies have been adopted in Canada, like the Gold for Oil program that is backing our currency, that has made Ghana's currency currently as one of the most strongest currencies in the world. And these are all policies that he put in place that has made Ghana, what it is at the moment. And since independence, he's been one of the best serving vice presidents, which is currently on record. So that's why we strongly believe in him, and we've put our lenses and our visions also behind him. So we say pictures never lie. So we need to be there, document, archive, and we've also seen ourselves as archivists, and we're archiving everything that he's doing and sharing with the rest of the world.
Thanks for sharing. Yes, it's always really nice to hear about. I mean, I've been talking to a lot of Africans lately, and I see just how politically engaged, socially engaged, culturally engaged a lot of people are, and it's heartwarming, And I think, irrespective of political affiliation or even agreements, I think one of the things that warms my soul is to see that we, in some sense, or at least a lot of people I'm talking to, have a very active role in, wanting to participate in the future they want to see. So it's really nice to hear a bit more about your politics and, why you support it. And yeah, I mean, it sounds like really great policies that Dr. Mahmoud is putting forth in the world. Of course, pictures and images can also rewrite stories. And I think for me, as an African, my hope is that we continue to have leaders that are deserving of all of us. Africa is the youngest continent in the world in terms of population, and 1 in 4 people by 2050 will be Africans. So I really hope that we continue to have leaders that are deserving of the roles and the responsibilities that they have. So thanks for sharing more about that. Question back to the two of you in terms of, now you've gone through, you've had a lot of experience building your brand. What is something you no longer apologize for? What's one part of your identity, your process, your vision that you used to shrink or over explain or even explain away, but now you fully stand inside? What is something that you're no longer sorry for?
Well, I think to answer that is still going to take us back to how politically exposed we are right now. It got to a point of time when people just saw us as just photographers to um the wife of the vice president. They just felt like we're doing our work and we are kind of like neutral, just offering services for a client. But I think right now, what we're not sorry for is that we openly now supporting their candidature, and we are also openly letting people know that we're not just hiding behind um, a client's photographer relationship, but also backing our brand, especially letting everybody know that we are very interested in whatever happens and goes on in our country, and we are not sorry for being politically inclined. So we notice a lot of
Mm,
people hide behind neutrality to make certain kind of remarks as if they really care about the country. But trust me, there is nobody's neutral. Everybody has like um an agenda that they always want to hide. Yeah, but so that's one thing
mm,
that we're not sorry about right now. We're so happy about
mm.
making our stand.
Glad to hear that. I am glad you are no longer, yeah, that you're standing firm in your values, your beliefs, your opinions. I think oftentimes when people talk about being neutral, neutrality is a statement. For me, sometimes it means you don't, you want to play both sides or you're not confident enough to take a decision. Neutrality is also a position, and I think neutrality is not necessarily always the goal, and it shouldn't be the goal. I've been reflecting a lot in, especially in 2025 and the current geopolitical environment that we are collectively experiencing globally. And this is the year where, at least for me, I think I am more political. I'm taking stands. I'm speaking truth to power in terms of how it aligns with me and my values. And, people do not have to agree, but I believe that at this point in time, for the things I want to see in the world, I owe it to myself to at least voice it out. So kudos for standing in your truth and standing in your power. I think we can all learn something from that. Sam, I want to come to you first. If younger Sam could see you now, what would he say? What would leave him in awe? And I want you to speak for yourself, separate from Emmanuel, because I'm going to come to Emmanuel as well.
Well, I would have told younger Sam to work harder than he did.
Okay.
Because what would you do if you knew you wouldn't fail? Would you not work harder so that you can
Mm,
achieve even bigger things? If you had an assurance of success, would you not rather work
mm.
even the hardest? So what I've told young Sam to really work even harder.
I like that. What would he do if he knew he wouldn't fail? I really love that. Okay. Emmanuel, I come to you. If younger Emmanuel could see you now, what would he say to you? And what would leave him amazed?
I believe I would have told the younger Emmanuel to read more and learn a whole lot of stuff, you know, because like reading comes with gaining a lot of knowledge. And imagine if we're able to learn so much, like different languages, learn how to do different stuff. Probably by now, all those things could have come in hand. For example, if we're so fluent in French, anytime that we're working in Paris, wouldn't be fumbling and just speaking two by three kind of French. Maybe I would just tell the younger Emmanuel to maybe we could have used all that time when we were growing up to probably learn more languages, read more books, learn how to do more things. And basically, that would have made our lives way more simpler than we.
Do you mean easier in terms of like how you can communicate in different places? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we go to a
Um,
lot of francophone countries, Senegal, Ivory Coast, Paris. Sometimes it's like, bro, can you just speak English? You know, that we still understand French, but not to the points that
yeah.
we want right now.
I mean, but the beauty about what you've been able to do so far means that you can learn and you will continue to learn. So, yes, it'd be nice to be fluent right now, but you might be fluent in 3 years.
Man, yeah, that's true.
I love that. Question for you quickly about resilience. I mean, I can imagine that it hasn't just been an easy ride, right? I think sometimes when people see you now and see the success that you have, oftentimes people don't see the blood, the sweat that goes behind the work, the hustle, everything you've had to build. And yes, you have each other, and it's nice to have that support system. But what has helped you through the difficult periods of your life or your careers? How do you engage with resilience, or what has supported you through it all?
Well, I think if you know what the future holds, you know, if you know how interesting and successful the future is going to be, like, there's no way you are going to not work hard towards it. Because once you know that if we put so much effort into it, that would make whatever we want in life to come as fast as we want, then we're going to put in the work right now, because there's always light at the end of the tunnel. And I've never seen anybody who works hard and always and kind of like failed in life. Even if it takes years, you're still going to get whatever you want. So that's one reason why we are always resilient and always pushing forward, because we know that the future is always bright. Yeah. And some have grown to believe that we just pop up from nowhere and we are who we are just because of an overnight success. And they fail to recognize the kind of hard work we've put in. So sometimes we have had to just remind some people that we've been around for a while, we've been around for a minute, and we've actually worked hard from the scratch and built this thing that you are seeing today as an overnight success. And that is kind of the resilience, we are pushing, and some of the resistance we need to even overcome to for people to still respect you for the kind of work that you've put in. And that is a very difficult thing to do. Current, so we are working on our first book, which hopefully should be ready maybe before the end of the year. Then
Amazing.
everything works out.
Amazing. That's so exciting. Is it going to be like a autobiography, or is it going to be more like a picture book?
Yeah, photography book. But then someone's
Very
buying
nice. You'll have to let me know when it's out so I can add that link where people can find it on this podcast, because I imagine some people will find it at later points.
and you can also fly into the book launch as well.
Yeah, I'd love that. Absolutely. Just invite me. I will come. I love it. What I'm also hearing, just from how you reflect on this, I think what is evident is the value of hard work and how where it has gotten the two of you. And I think that's so important because no one is an overnight success. People don't see the work that goes. I mean, success takes work, and then sustaining that success takes even more work. I really appreciate the agency that both of you exude. I love that. I think it's so important to have that self belief because the world is kind, but also sometimes the world is not. And in so many ways, people are going to tell you that you're not enough, or you're doing this, or you're not doing that. But having that confidence to move forward no matter what, I can only applaud. So thank you for sharing your story. And a final question I have for you all is for your future self. When you think about the legacy you're building, what do you want Emmanuel and Sam 10 years from now, 20 years from now to know? And when you look back on this very day that you're hanging out here with Chisom chatting, what do you hope to see?
Well, we hope photography becomes major discipline. Young kids will say, "Hey, I want to be a photographer when I grow up." That is what we want to achieve. We want kids to wake up and say, "I want to be a photographer." Not every African kid will say, "I want to be a doctor, I want to be a nurse, I want to be a lawyer." But we want kids to confidently say that I want to be a photographer when I grow up. So that's what we working towards.
I really love that. And I think especially like from that African perspective where it's great to be a lawyer, an engineer, a doctor, and what's the other one? A business person, like to actually start having people aspiring to like professions in the arts and the creatives, I think is absolutely so. Yes, I think that's a beautiful legacy to build. Is there anything else as we close out? Is there anything else you both would like to say? Is there something you haven't said today that you would like to share with us?
Well, thank you for recognizing what we do and even spending time to do this with us. And we're looking forward to build more solid relationships with you and impacts on Africa. And keep doing what you're doing. I know how difficult it is, but just keep on doing what you're doing, and it's the end goal. The end goal is to all come together as young people in Africa to project Africa and tell the African story and African dream. And yeah, we're looking forward to being hosted in Norway, as you mentioned.
Yes, yes, I'd love that. Thank you so much. Thank you for the encouragement and thank you for spending your afternoon with me. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next time we chat. Thank you both. Thank you for spending time with us on Overnight Wisdom. If this conversation moved you, inspired you, or made you pause, please like, leave a comment, or share it with someone who needs to hear it. You can follow the show wherever you get your podcasts, and if you're feeling generous, a rating or review goes a long way in helping others find us too. Until next time, stay curious, stay tender, and may the wisdom you need find you exactly when you're ready.